guys, it's Story. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. If you hear any background noise, they're doing construction in my backyard, so I'm sorry if you can hear that, but it hasn't been that loud so far, so hopefully it won't be too bad. This should be a pretty quick video anyways. I'm not going to go too in depth with this review. I didn't take notes or anything. I'm just going to talk briefly about it. This is spoiler free. I'm not going to talk about spoilers at all in this video, mainly because I want to encourage more people to read this book. I would have never picked up this book if I didn't see it so much on BookTube. I actually saw this book being talked about a lot when everyone was doing their best of 2017 books. It was either one or two people that said this was the best book they read in 2017. So it intrigued me a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, when I first saw this book, I was a little put off by it because it has a cartoon cover. If you watch my videos, I've talked about this before, but cartoon covers just really turn me off for some reason. I don't know why. I think just like in my mind, it like tells me it's gonna be like immature or like childish. This book is not childish or immature in any way, but I did end up picking this up. I got it from my school library. I had read probably 90% of it before I graduated and moved, and then when I moved down here, I got a library card at the library in town and picked this up, read like the last couple chapters, so it technically took me like a month to read, but honestly, I think I read 90% of this book in maybe 4, maybe 5 sittings because it's really good. It's definitely one of those books where you constantly want to know what's happening next because there's a little bit of mystery, but there's like a really deep, intense type of romance going on, so it's definitely a page turner. I wouldn't say stuff happens like crazy stuff happens or anything, but it definitely is a page turner. I wanted to keep reading constantly. I have not been obsessed with a book in a long time. Like there's some books I give 5 stars that I really like, but I just haven't been obsessed with them, if that makes sense. This book I was completely obsessed with. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, if that wasn't obvious already. I always have my Goodreads linked down below. You can see my reviews faster on there, obviously. It's gonna take me a while to get videos filmed, edited, and on YouTube. So if you do want to see my reviews faster, then please follow me on Goodreads. But yeah, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. There was no doubt in my mind reading this entire book where I wasn't gonna give it 5 stars. It's weird because when I first started it, I was like, oh, this book is gonna be like this. I wonder if I'm gonna like it. But by the end of the first chapter, I was already like hooked. I guess I should probably tell you guys the synopsis. That would probably help. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the back looks like that. It says Nemesis. 1. An opponent or rival whom a person cannot best or overcome. 2. A person's undoing. 3. Joshua Templeman. So our main character is named Lucy, and she works at a publishing house. She is the assistant to one of the CEOs. At this publishing house, there are 2 CEOs. There is a male and a female. Lucy is the assistant to the female, and Joshua is the assistant to the CEO, who is a male. So there's 2 CEOs, 2 assistant CEOs, and the reason it's like this is because there was a merger. So what happened was these 2 separate publishing houses, were losing money, not doing very good, whatever the reason was, they decided to merge together to kind of save both their companies. So what happened was, instead of firing one CEO, both the CEOs stayed and the assistant CEOs stayed. Ultimately, Lucy is in the same position as Joshua. They work together every day. Where they're at in the building, it's just them and the CEOs, so they spend a lot of time together and they absolutely hate each other. I saw some people say they never thought that these 2 truly hated each other. I did. I mean, I'm gonna say it right now, this is the hate to love trope. It is my favorite trope to read. One of my favorite tropes to read, so obviously I love this. This is the best hate to love trope book I have ever read. So if you love that trope, you are going to love this book. But anyways, back to the synopsis. An opportunity arises where the CEOs have created a new job where they will pretty much be CEOs. I can't remember the exact title, but it's like a huge promotion, and obviously Lucy and Josh are both up for this promotion because they're kind of next in line. Sorry if the angle or the lighting has changed. I had to take a quick break. But anyways, back to the book. I am a fantasy reader. That's my favorite genre. I do like contemporary and a couple other genres, but this book has actually got me in the mood for contemporary now, which is really surprising. But with that being said, since fantasy is my favorite genre and I absolutely love this and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, I feel like that should say a lot. I'd like to say this book is a romantic comedy. It's like a rom-com like you would see on TV. I'm recommending this book to someone. That's how I always describe it as. Think of like a romantic comedy movie you would see. This is literally it. I would watch it. I would definitely watch it if it was a movie. I have a cast picked out in my head, which I'll go into in a minute. But yeah, that's the premise of the book. These two pretty much have the same position and are up for the same promotion, and they hate each other. And they don't just hate each other because they're up for the same promotion. You actually don't find out they have a promotion until a couple chapters in. It does say it in the synopsis though, so that's not a spoiler or anything. But they're just very different people. Lucy, for example, is very nice to people, very sweet. She's kind of quirky, however you say that. She wears like vintage clothing, like vintage skirts, like fire red lipstick every day. She's very smart, but she's mainly like a pushover. She's just like too nice to people, and she's just kind of like a people pleaser. And then Josh is the exact opposite. He does not care to please people, is very like number oriented. He does like the costs for the company and whatnot and has all the numbers figured out. And he makes deadlines for people. If they don't meet those deadlines, he's not like gonna take shit. He never smiles. He like has no emotions like whatsoever. They play all these games. It's called the hating game because they have all these little games they play. Pretty much the goal for Lucy is to get him to smile. And yeah, it's just really intriguing because the main two characters together, like anytime they're together, it's just so intriguing. You constantly want them together, and when they're not together, like obviously she's talking about him a lot, but you just want them to like be together again. It wasn't predictable is the thing, and I thought it was going to be so predictable. There was one thing I predicted as it was kind of being foreshadowed. I predicted it, which I know most people are gonna be like, oh, if it's being foreshadowed, then obviously, you know, it's being foreshadowed, you knew it was gonna happen. But a lot of times you don't know something is foreshadowed until after what it was foreshadowing happened, if that makes sense. And I did predict that, but it wasn't like, it didn't ruin the book for me or anything. I still liked what happened. But other than that, this book was not predictable. I feel like there's a very predictable way to go about this story, and the author didn't do that. If you're not a romance person, like if you don't read romance genres, you're still gonna like this book. I don't read romance genres. I can't remember the last time I read a romance book that was just like solely romance, and I absolutely love this. I love romance in books though, but yeah, I think you're still gonna like this book because it's not just romance. There's a lot of like sexual tension in this book. Again, it's the hate to love trope, so obviously there's gonna be sexual tension. Someone asked me if this was a new adult book or an adult book, and I don't know. I think it could be both, because when I think new adult, I think college or out of college, like early 20s. I believe they're in their mid 20s. I think they're like 24, 25, maybe a couple years older. So like, they're still in their 20s, but they've been with this company for a while. So I don't know. I feel like it could be either or. Like, I am the new adult age. I'm 22, and I really, really enjoyed it. But also, like, if you are the adult age, if you're like in your late 20s or above, like you're really gonna enjoy this too. I don't think it should be in one category versus the other. I think they're in both categories really. But with that being said, there is some mature scenes. There's some mature things being talked about. So be cautious of that if you're like high school or middle school or whatever. I think we all should read what we want to read. So if you want to read this book and you're in middle school, all power to you. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, guys. I took a chance with it. This wasn't even on my TBR or anything. I was just in the library looking at actually the YA section, and I had seen a couple people say it was their favorite book of 2017, so I was like, ooh. Yeah, this is the only book Sally Thorne has, which is really depressing because I wanted more from her as soon as I stopped reading this. I went on Goodreads and saw that she does have a book coming out this year, I believe. It might be early next year, but I think it's this year. I think it's called 99% Mine. Also, in the back of the book, it says, love the hating game, don't miss Sally Thorne's The Comfort Zone, coming summer 2017, which obviously that book never came. I don't know if this is like an old edition of the hating game because I don't know if this was in the other book, the first copy I was reading. But obviously the Comfort Zone never came out. I don't know if 99% Mine and the Comfort Zone are the same thing. They just changed the name or whatever it was. I have no idea, but obviously the Comfort Zone never came out and 99% Mine is coming out. So I'm definitely going to be reading that. I need more from this author. If you can like keep me intrigued like she did with this genre book that like is not my genre, like you did good. And I have a feeling like her other books are going to be like this, have the same type of intensity to them where you constantly want to know what's going to happen next, and there's like a little mystery in there and romance and comedy. Like I feel like all her books are going to be like this. I don't know why, I just have that feeling and I am all for it. If I still haven't convinced you, go look at the reviews on Goodreads. It has really good reviews on there. I read some of the reviews before I picked this up and they convinced me to pick it up. Go pick up this book. You won't regret it. If you guys love this book or you plan on picking it up, please give this video a big thumbs up. Of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for me. So I will see you guys in my next one. Deuces.